Hello, everybody. All right, RJ. So, how are you doing tonight?
Man, I'm doing all right. I'm another day above ground.
Well, I hope we can get you to come back this Sunday at least to promote some of your stuff and talk all niche and all that. But anyways, so for tonight, of course, we'll give people a chance to come in here before we really get started. But we're gonna be finishing up our coverage of November of 1939. Looking at books that went on sale during that month from not from Cross I'm sorry, Quality Comics. We're going to be focusing in on Smash Comics Volume 1, Number 6, and Feature Comics Volume 1, Number 28, which, of course, among the features we'll be looking at will include Espionage of Black X, Invisible Hood, The Clock, which is one you know all too well, right, RJ?
Oh yes.
And let's see, Dollman, and maybe even, if time permitting, even Charlie Chan. There's a little 6-page Charlie Chan story that we might get to as well. Time
See,
permitting.
that was the fun thing about these books was them being anthologies. And I'll tell you, I was on a show last night. We were promoting the Out of Obscurity anthology, where I've got my own clock story, and we talked about these anthologies and your show and how you go about reading these things every Friday night. And I told him, I was like, you'd read a detective story, turn the page and it's an espionage story, turn the page and it's a cowboy story, turn the
Right,
page and it's two little kids getting into hijinks and telling jokes. I was like, and it was all in one book. There
right.
was no rhyme or reason to anything from cover to cover. Just here we go.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the fun things about doing this, particularly when we're looking back at the golden age stories. Is that and it looks like you did like and share it like already and like and share, and I thank you for that. As a reminder for anybody who happens to be in the chat, if you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to learn some stuff. That'd be great. Also, if anything here catches your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and we'll try to answer the questions to the best of our ability. So, yeah. So I did mean well. By the time I knew you were on last, because I noticed you weren't on Wednesday night, and then
I was
I
on Wednesday night. Oh no, I wasn't. I had somebody scheduled for Tuesday and Wednesday, and I had actually told both people Tuesday and wrote the wrong one down. So I moved one back from Wednesday to Tuesday, and the other people said, "Hey, we got to do something next week." They canceled before I told them I was double booking, so it all worked out.
all right. Well, yeah. So but I noticed you didn't have anything on Wednesday night, and then so that's when I tried to call you and say, hey, you don't have anything tonight, um, and then last night I got behind, so I didn't even know you were even streaming until almost till the end. So I just said screw, you know. Um,
That's
and
interesting.
and of course, for those of you, this is of course one of the books RJ was of course talking about here. New from
Y-
Critical Blast, The Monsters Next Door, now on Amazon.com.
What's interesting is that that shows up in the chat, but it doesn't show up on the YouTube chat. It goes from you to Jr. Hi Jr. Glad you're here. But nobody can see that in the chat apparently. How odd.
Hmm.
Because I typed it in here. I typed it in through the StreamYard comment now that
Well,
we can.
I usually will type it through. When I type stuff in, I usually type in onto the YouTube page. I mean, I probably could type from here, but just
It's a new thing they just started that you can type to the chat from StreamYard.
yeah. But that was always there though. That's not something new.
No, no. You could private chat to the people on your show, but you couldn't join the outside chat from you can as the administrator. You've always been able to, yes, but guests never could. and now guests can join the chat through StreamYard and not have
Okay,
to
I always
maintain a
I
site
always
name.
thought everybody could from. I always thought everybody could, but and then Jr. saying, "Let us begin. Hail Lord Xenu and hail Princess Xena. Long may they reign forever." Us. All right. So yeah. So now we got 3 people in here. All right. So also aside from the one you just talked about, well, first off, before let me highlight that again. You want to tell everybody a little bit about the Monsters Next Door? You know, for replay
Yeah,
purposes.
it's we do these fantasy anthologies every so often, a couple times a year we try to. Uh we we did The Devil You Know, The Devil You Know Better. We just recently released Grimm's Fairy Tales uh in a 540-page brick with over 300 illustrations.
Whoa!
So that
Talk about
was
workload.
yeah, that was fun. But this is one of the ones where we pay authors, experienced and new, who are just getting into the business. Um, and it's a several month long project where we weed through all the submissions. We pick out the best of the best, according to us. But I think you'll think so too. And we pay them. We pay them. Obviously, it's not a freebie thing. We've done stuff with this book though that we've never done with any of the books prior. In fact, stuff that I've never seen anybody else do. We gave every story in this book its own comic book cover. So rather than just turning to the front of the story and here's a title and a byline and start reading, the first thing you see is this EC like cover with their title in a big bold title headline and an image representative of a scene in the story, and the blurbs at the bottoms, like suburban terror like you've never seen before.
Hmm.
Um and, and it's
Yeah,
all about
just for
the
those
thing
of us
is,
who don't know, EC was a comic book company that was what started up in the 50s or something like that.
oh yeah, it was the big horror comic industry. It's the comic book publisher that the Comics Code Authority was created to destroy.
Okay. Anyways, let me get to some of these other chats because just so Jr.
I
doesn't think we're ignoring him.
I typed the link into the
Yeah, I saw.
chat here, so it's through YouTube.
Hey, RJ, you can really see your loss of 20 pounds. I've been struggling with that for 3 years.
Jr. It's I was too. I mean, when I moved here, I was 30 pounds lighter than what I became, and the only thing I found that worked for me was I started looking at all the labels of stuff I was going to buy, and I would sit down with my phone before I would order at a restaurant, and I'd ask how many carbs in something. And apparently, that's what it was for me. I think everybody's going to be different, but for me, if I kept it down to 0 carbs, that first week I lost 5 pounds, and nothing else I tried did anything. So when I saw a 5 pound movement there, it was real easy to say, okay, let's just start paying attention to what we're eating here, and keep the plan is to keep the carbs under 50 per day. But I try to keep mine as close to 0 as possible and then cheat on the weekends. Like tomorrow morning, I'm going to get up. Rini Strakowski is in town. I will be taking her around and showing her the sites around here. She's one of our clients at Critical Blast Logistics, and she's bringing some of her fiendish books here for us to pack up. But we're going to tour Eureka Springs and see some of the sites there. I've got some surprises in store for her that I haven't told her about. I think she'll find fun. But tomorrow for breakfast, I'm breaking down the carb habit and getting the biscuits and gravy. And I don't mind the diet, because the diet is basically bacon and eggs and meat and sausage, um, and green beans and some vegetables. You just stay away from potatoes and snack cakes.
Yeah, and this is a link to the Monsters Next Door book, right? That
Yes,
I'm
that is
highlighting.
the link to the Monsters Next Door. I didn't want to type the entire thing over again on my phone, but yeah, that will take you to the Monsters Next Door. That one's not a small book either. It's 406 pages, um, and there's a hidden ad in there for Critical Blast's next comic book venture, um, and I'm not going to tell anybody what it is yet. I'm sworn to secrecy with the creative team on this, until my proof copy is in hand. I can say, look, it's in print. Yes, it's happening. And then everybody can find out. But if you
All
want
right.
to find out before I show it, order the book and go to the back.
All right. Let me get through these last few through JR, and then we'll do one more little promo before we get into the actual readings. I've lost 20. So JR is saying I lost 20 pounds this month. Still
That's a
down.
lot.
Still down 60 pounds from 3 years ago. Was down much more, but confident I'll get back down again.
Of course,
Uh,
getting rid of the beard took a lot of the weight image
yeah.
off. It's all belly fat for me. It was all belly fat, really.
Yeah, my fitness
Mostly.
pal is amazing. Thousands of foods in its database. All right. And yeah, I cheat every 10 pounds.
I want a pizza so bad, and I haven't had one in a month and a half.
I actually, it's kind of funny because for me, my diet is more determined a little bit more by my funds because I'm, trying to, I'm trying to, I'm trying
Being
not
broke
to,
is a great diet.
huh?
Being financially broke is a great diet.
Well, I'm not financially broke. It's just a matter of
Good.
managing my money in a way to where I do have some surplus. Obviously, but and I'm usually pretty good. It's just that if I can try to keep usually on average I'd say I daily meals are about $12 to $15 a day. But if I can have a day where I'm only spending just under 10, then that's a great day for me. But like I recently, because you were talking about pizza there, right?
Right.
So now one of the things I do, of course, is you know about 6/10 of a mile away. Is kind of I got a 7-Eleven, a liquor store, some other stores that are about 6/10 of a mile away. Basically my basic corner store kind of thing. So what I do, of course, is granted I'm still home most of the day, on the computer here and all that, but as like in the mornings I get up, I walk up to the liquor store, get my energy drink, come back home and go about my business. Then usually around 1, 2 o'clock, I'll go up to the 7-Eleven, grab some lunch. Usually like an American sub, and soda, and then sometimes some kind of snack item with it, like Cheeto, like a tube of Cheeto cheese puffs, or gummy savers, gummy lifesavers kind of thing. Um, yes, I know for a 47-year-old man, that's probably not the healthiest diet to be having, but
But it's
you know,
good.
yeah. Well, the sandwich and soda itself, and I get a 1 liter bottle of Pepsi. That's just over. That's like $10.23. So now, when depending upon what I add, it could be as high as 18. And then there are some places I go out to where at one time it was like 12 to 14 bucks, but the same meal now is like 18 bucks. So that just goes to show you the effects of inflation right there. But
Thanks, Joe.
as I now the reason I told you all this is just to give you kind of the backstory. Good, for the first time in a long time, right? Because I had a couple of days there where I was behind and I didn't feel I had the time, and I really didn't want to wait until after the show. So I called and had pizza delivered instead. And of course, Pizza Hut, stuffed crust pizza, 3 toppings. At one time, that was like $28 to $30 with two 2 liter bottles of Pepsi, mind you. So with the two liter bottles of Pepsi, you know, it was like maybe 30 to 35 bucks. Okay. Which is okay, for that kind of thing. These last two times I did that, $50.14 each time.
Oh, well, also you're paying California prices, so
Yeah. So,
come out
but
here to the real world. We don't we ain't gonna give them that much money for pizza, and they know it.
well, yeah, and I know it's not Pizza's fault. It's Gavin Newsom and the liberal Democrats' fault, but that's another story for another day. Anyways, now that hey Woody's here. All right, and of
Now it's
course,
a party.
yeah. All right, so now we got some people in here. So basically, if you haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we get some more friendly people in here. That'd be terrific. Also, anything we talk about grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. We'll try to answer the questions to the best of our ability. Now on to, as we say, our feet, as Rick would often say as well, onto our feature presentation, as it were. And I discovered something. So this site is usually the site I would just use just for DC and Marvel and some of the comics that are still in existence. But what I found is they also have some of the comics that are. They actually also have some of the comics that are public domain on here as well. You notice I'll use Comic Books Plus as well for my readings. You've seen that before, right, RJ?
I have, yes.
So, but this one has apparently. So as I said, Smash Volume 1 number, and I like this one a little bit better because it's a lot easier to navigate. Because all you have to do, like on Comics Book Plus, you have to you have to click each time to turn a page. Here, you can just scroll down.
Oh, okay. Well, that'll make it go faster.
Yeah. So when I can, I'll try to start using this one more. I was using it mostly for, as I said, the comics are still, So here we go. So here's, we're going to be reading from this and from Feature Comics Volume 1, number 28 as well. This is Smash Cons Volume 1, number 6. Their January cover date. You want to read? Okay. Oh wait, before I do that. Do 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 do. We have Bozo the Robot, Archie O'Toole, Wings Wendell, Invisible Hood, starring Espionage, G. Carter, Philpot Deep, John Law, Clip Chance, One Clue, and you're going to see what the problem there is with that one. I'll put it this way: there would be a number of people who would have quite an issue with that one. Abdul the Arab, Captain Cook, and many more, and that's Black X right there on the cover, right there, tied to that rocket. You want to read that guy there, RJ?
Now, Black X, tell us the government espionage plans, or we blow you into space into this rocket.
Alrighty then. So with that, let's go ahead and go through some of the other. Of course, on the other little, there's a ad page right there for Frector, the sensational new all-electric erector.
Remember, kids, if your erector goes up for more than 4 hours, you might want to call your mom.
Oh boy. Anyway.
It was just hanging there.
Yeah. Espionage, starring the Black X. And they're saying that he, of course, this is him going back to the Black X moniker. For a while there, he was going by Black Ace. So, actually, RJ, I know you're a good narrator, so I'll let you do the narration, and we'll figure out the rest of it as we go along.
Oh, look, this page has been taped. The hopes of the dictators to crush the Allied democracies in one lightning blow, aka a blitzkrieg, failed, and the Second World War, which engulfed Europe, soon developed into what promised to be a long, drawn-out reign of horror, the slow extermination of Europeans. But as King George said of England, as King George of England said, I read both lines at the same time, in his speech at the opening of the conflict, war is no longer confined to the battlefields. He was right. For the weapons of modern warfare know no boundaries, and beyond the front, civilians wait and suffer. In Govania, one of the warring nations.
We'll alternate here.
Okay.
I'll start with the guy over here. The latest report says the food shortage has reached a crisis unless we have food.
We don't need food. The government, the people of Govania will fight for their ideals.
Shut up. Thalga. Save that stuff for the mass meetings.
Careful, Marshal. Stott. You forget to whom you talk. I am.
Yeah, I know. You are Thalga, the supreme dictator of Govania. Now, before we go on here, a little note here. Something we've been talking a lot about with the comics around this particular time, 1939. As for historical context, RJ, as you know, this is around the time that the war was starting up in Europe. World War II was starting. We were still 2 years away from it, obviously, but Europe was already kind of in the early days of the war at this point. Now, as we have talked about, as many of us, myself, Metal, on these shows, Rick, and all that, have talked about, because of who was involved in the comics industry at the time, there was a big push from the comics industry for us to get involved in the war as early as this time. Now, one of the things Quality would do too here is, rather than using the names of real countries in these early stories of it, they actually go, and Govania is one of them here. They actually made up countries. So Quality's Earth was supposedly substantially much bigger than ours, because you had a number of countries like this one, like Govania, that they just kind of made up and just added to it. It's kind of funny, but
They just
a
added
little
an ania to a lot of words.
What was that?
They just added the suffix ania to any syllable, and suddenly we had an Eastern European country.
Yeah, and then there were a few others like Conflond, Tukoya, that also were made up countries as well.
Yep.
Look here, Thalga. It's about time we have had a showdown. You may be a god to those downtrodden people. You make speeches too, but to me, you're still a small-time corporal whom I made dictator.
Oh, a corporal who was made dictator. That sounds familiar. Stott, I'll have you shot.
Don't make me laugh. All you're good for is rabble-rousing. You need me to run things for you. Without me around, those sneaking cabinet ministers would stab you in the back. So basically what he's saying is, I guess the guy Stat here, I guess he's kind of the power behind the dictator, I guess, right?
Oh, yeah.
The guy who kind of controls things behind the scenes. Lets this guy basically be the face of the movement, right?
I would say so. Sounds like it.
Let's see. Now, let's stop arguing and attend to this war that you started. The democracies are clever. They're starving us out.
We'll buy our food from Yadovnia.
With what? You've spent all of this country's money on munitions, purges, and parties. The army must have food to win.
Then take the food away from the people and give it to the soldiers. Let the people starve. Destiny will provide for the future.
Very well, but I don't know how long it will last.
Our scene shifts to a bleak mining area 6,000 miles away in Alaska. Two old sourdoughs trudge wearily across an abandoned claim.
Phew, I'm all tuckered out. Prospecting ain't what it used to be. Want to do the other guy there?
Let's camp here.
Gather some wood, and I'll heat up a can of beans.
Squinty, come here. Maybe I'm seeing things.
We both
Ready?
say,
One, two, three. Go!
Gold!
with the speed of a hurricane, the magic word sweeps across the continent. Gold, gold, gold! And a world starved by a war that has sapped its resources receives the news hungrily. Lives are wrecked, families deserted, heirlooms pawned to finance expeditions. The thunder of gold mad thousands echoes as they stampede toward Alaska. Rich man, poor man, beggar man, thief, all join the rush. And in Govania, Thalga smiles as he recognizes the hand of destiny. Gold discovered in Alaska! Destiny is kind!
Destiny or luck, this is a break. You see what I mean? How we can just scroll down here and don't have to just
Much faster.
keep going back and forth, and then, yeah, so.
A lot more smooth. Govania's well-oiled secret police machine is thrown into high gear.
You ought to have agents throughout Alaska. We'll set up an elaborate system of jumping claims, as they call it. Boats will bring the gold to our submarines in the Pacific. Inside of 6 months, we should have a system that will sap Alaska of its gold. America is a free country, so why shouldn't we take their gold free? Ha ha ha. Now, mind you, let's review here. Alaska was not yet a state. I think it was still a territory at this point. Alaska didn't become a state, don't think until 1949.
Wasn't that Hawaii?
But, that's, or 59, one of the two. But that's just a little note for, anyway. Go ahead, RJ.
No, I said you're right. It was 59, May 28th.
Yeah. All right.
No, January 3rd. That bill was drawn up in 58 on the 28th,
Yeah.
and then it became a state in 59.
Yeah. I know that Alaska and Hawaii were 49 and 58 states.
Yeah.
50 states, and but I didn't remember until just that last second there that they both came in the same year.
I want to watch an Alaskan police procedural called Alaska 49. I think that would be a hoot.
Yeah. Anyways, you got some narration up there.
Thus, in the gold fields of Alaska, several weeks later, a car pulls up at a miner's shack.
I think that was the guy who was like,
I'll take him.
Howdy.
may we speak with you a moment? I'll buy your claim for this price. Take it or leave it.
Nope, not selling at that or any price.
Then we'll take it. Bang!
A lot of smoke from that little bullet, thankfully. A short while later,
here's another claim I want to file.
okay, here's your papers. That's the 20th claim that guy's filed in a week. Something mighty queer about him.
And we know what queer meant back then as compared to today, right?
Oh, yes.
I've been in the East, Rush, and I know claim jumping when I see it.
I'm going to call FBI headquarters. A week later, that's how fast your FBI responded. A week
Well,
later,
remember, this was 1939, though.
I know.
This wasn't 1999. This wasn't 2023 or even 1999. This was 1939. They didn't have internet or anything like that.
Oh, well. A week later, an FBI agent arrives, receives instructions, and goes to work. A week passes without word from him. Then, one night, he staggers into the office. Dead. staggered in dead. Yeah, it's a tough job. In Washington, the Office of the Espionage.
Will, why bother me? Let the FBI handle it. This is an office for military espionage.
Still same guy.
Yeah. Always bothering me with trivialities.
Oh, and there's your guy. That's X.
Yeah. Trivialities. Did it ever occur to you, Major, that many countries in Europe could use some of that gold that's being mined in Alaska? Chief, with gold at about $40 an ounce, a well-organized gang could steal about $2 billion worth in 6 months. I'd like to go there, Chief. Say, you're right, X. So after X explains it to him, then it's no longer a triviality.
By the way, gold was $40 an ounce in 1939. We'll just assume that he was right. Gold is $1,900 an ounce today.
Yeah. So, and let's see. Let me just go through here. Hearty handshake. Start. I'll have you shot. Fabulous alliteration. Or was that on a motto-pia?
Onomatopoeia? No, that was alliteration with rhyme.
Gold, gold, gold. At the claim jumping, lawfare. Arizona was 1948. Yeah, okay. So, Juneau is the capital of Alaska.
Do you know the capital of Alaska too? I know it too.
All right. So, anyways, now we're caught up with the chats there. Let's get back to this. But mining towns are, well, they're tougher. They're tough. That is, I mean, your monocle, it makes you look like a sissy. Really? Really?
Suddenly, Batu speaks. Master no sissy. He wear a monocle because Kadukan put eye out as torture. Will master not tell great army secret? Now, Master sissy?
No. I mean, that colonel major whatever is really putting his foot in his mouth, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Oh boy, he's got a case of athlete's mouth.
Yeah. 2 days later, two totally out-of-place figures walk calmly into the roaring boomtown of Timber Klondike. Where we hide, master?
We're not going to hide, Batu. I'm going to try to become as prominent as possible. It suits my plans better. And that is how I'll do it. Fight.
Tonight. The next day, X saunters to the local fight office.
Who's the boss?
I am. Who wants him?
I do. I want to sign up to fight your boy, Killer Donovan.
What? Go on home. Play professor. I ain't in no mood for jokes.
I said I'm fighting Killer Donovan tonight.
Oh, well, why didn't you say so before? Sure, of course.
I guess another guy who thought the monocle made him look like a sissy, right?
Yeah. Told him to go home and play, Professor. That night, while the town is gathered in the arena to witness the match, the slim figure of Batu is seen near the land office. Master smart. All people go see sissy with monocle fight. About to have no interference.
That's
At
funny.
the arena, a roaring crowd shouts with glee as the newcomer, Black X, is calm.
Boo! Boo! Are you the referee?
Yeah, where did you want your body sent, fancy pants?
At the bell, Black X meets Donovan's savage lunge and brings up a hard left hook to his jaw. The crowd is hushed in awe. Again and again, X lashes his opponent with whip-like lefts. The spectators roar their approval as X's fists thud against Killer's jaw. Suddenly, Batu enters and waves. X sees him out of the corner of his eye.
Hey, before I continue on here, of course, quick little trivia question for you, RJ. Do you know who was actually credited with writing this story?
Was this another Will Eisner one?
Yeah, this was Will
Not
Eisner.
surprised. He wrote them all.
Yeah.
Before Jack Kirby came along, Will Eisner wrote everything, except for what George Brenner wrote.
Yeah. Well, there are a few other guys from this time period that were writing a lot of stuff, like Arthur Panajon. Obviously over at DC, there was like Jerry Siegel, Joe Shuster, Bob Kane, and Bill Finger. Gardner Fox was very early on in his days over there. Of course, we know Bill Everett was pretty active at that time too.
Absolutely.
Right? RJ?
I'm here. Yes.
Okay.
It's
I'll be right with you, Batu. I was only stalling with this bug anyhow.
It's the KO! Later, Black X returns to his apartment.
Here, take my coat, Batu. I've been followed. The fish are biting already.
In the hall, two men talk.
We've got to be careful, Carl. He may be an espionage agent.
Nonsense. Do you think an agent would let everyone see him like that? Let's go up. We can use a man like him.
Maybe what if it was to draw you in, right?
Yeah.
We saw you fight. How'd you like to make some real money jumping claims and smuggling out gold? Gentlemen, I've been waiting for just such an opportunity. I accept. I'll report for work tonight. I know where to go. Okay, now that's gotta raise a red flag right there.
Yeah.
And these guys didn't. And as we've seen, and we were even talking about this last week as well. Metal and I were when we were covering when we were reading over some of the stuff from Lev Gleason, actually from Silver Street Comics. I think it was in one of the stories there where the criminals just seemed incredibly stupid at times.
And the hero always tells him, stuff he shouldn't know.
Yeah.
He's trying to be sneaky.
They're gone now. Quick, Batu. Did you get those papers?
Yes, master.
Good. The list of all the poor miners whose claims were stolen. Now, Batu, listen carefully to my plan. After you give the miners that message, wire Washington and get authority to commandeer a Navy plane. I've work to do.
Good luck, master.
At
the entrance to an old mine.
I almost read it because I'm used to doing the narration as well. Boys, I've recruited you because I know you can handle your fist. That is in case you have trouble with the police. Start loading those trucks. Things are working out fine, Carl. We've gathered 20 tons of nuggets.
That's a lot.
Uh-huh.
In town, Batu bursts into a telegraph office. I want to do math. Hang on. I want to do math now. Okay. How many ounces in a ton?
Let's see. In a ton, let's see. Don't remember off the top of my
Okay.
head.
I've asked the question. I got the question. 32,000 ounces in a ton. There's 20 tons. So that's 640,000 ounces times 40. They've got $25,600,000 worth of gold right there. If gold is $40 an ounce, as they said at the beginning of the story. So yeah, 25 million. Nice haul.
And economy. Well, before you read here, let me get to some of these comments here. An economy the size of the U.S. can be affected by a gold mine, a relatively useless mineral.
Yeah. It's good for some electrical stuff now, but come on.
Let's see. Plus, there are cheaper ways to kill X than sending him to space. They could just take him through a jacked up house ride. Oh boy. I'm guessing that was from the cover. I guess he's coming.
And by the way, this is 1939.
Yeah, this is 1939. So
we'll just assume the very last month of it. But I'm curious. What?
Well, November 1939. We still have December, which we start.
Okay. We'll go with November. 25,600,000.
Also, Yukon Territory had a gold rush, not Alaska. Let's see.
So that would be. It blew the calculator up. It blew up the inflation calculator.
Huh.
I tried to see what 25 million then would be worth today. It was apparently all the money in the world would be.
Holy moly. Let's see. Woody, I hate those hard left hooks. Let's see. I know where to go. Miss the point. You must sign Z papers. Skit Cheech and Chong.
What papers, man?
Damn, 20 tons of nuggets? All right, so we're caught up on all that.
In town, Batu bursts into a telegraph office. Wire this to Washington, D.C. Quick.
Right, give me it.
The operator's hand reaches for one of the two keys before him. Suddenly, his message is stopped.
Oh, that doesn't look nice.
No, notice the shadow is in the right spot.
Sorry to have to hurt you. Humble Batu knows Morse code. You send message to submarine. Far out at sea, half the message gets through.
Oh, so Batu is the one who threw the knife in his hands.
Yeah, because he knew the guy was signaling a submarine.
Uh-huh.
Not Washington.
It's cut off, sir.
Ah, something is wrong. We'll meet the barge nearer land. On a lonely beach near the Bering Straits, a gold-laden sea-going barge is anchored.
Well, thanks, men. Here's the payoff. We'll take the gold out to sea where we'll be picked up.
Unseen, however, Black X silently enters the cabin.
So they're to be convoyed by a submarine. I've got to work fast.
As the huge barge steams off, X swims ashore.
In Alaskan sea waters, mind you.
Strong man to do that, right?
Yeah.
And if we are to believe that this is somewhat in real time, right at the time, and so if we're to believe this is November of 1939 when this is all happening, right? Swimming in Alaskan water, November of 1939. Could you just imagine how cold that water's got to be? Even if he's like fully clothed, mind you.
Well, let's see. It's the water temperatures on the surface average from 34 degrees Fahrenheit to 41 degrees Fahrenheit in the south. So it's cold all year long.
Yeah.
What did we do without Google?
Well, we went to live. We went. Well, the process would take a lot longer. We'd have to go to libraries and look up encyclopedias.
We'll be back in an hour,
You had
kids.
to open a actual book.
Yeah. And then you might have to be driven to another book because it might, be a reference to something else. Oh.
And within an hour, Black X meets Batu, who waits him with a heavily armed plane.
Turn a remote over, Batu. Kind of some nice alliteration there, maybe.
It's Black X Star.
Oh yeah. This plane handles beautifully. I was trying to figure that out, which one it was. This plane handles beautifully.
It is the latest type ship, Master. It even have torpedo.
What did the chief say when you asked for the plane, Batu?
He say you crazy coot, but okay. At sea.
Radio message, Captain Von Kiel. The U-boat will escort us.
Taking this gold was easy. Americans are all fools.
There's the barge ahead.
And look, Master, there is U-boat.
I've got to keep that sub from reaching the barge until the miners arrive. Black X is one of those voices I can honestly remember doing enough times to where I don't, I know exactly what to pull when I do it.
With a roar, X circles, laying a smokescreen around the barge.
Verdammt! A smokescreen! We can't find that barge!
Meanwhile, a tiny fleet of motorboats arrives. They are filled with the dispossessed miners.
Even the ones that were killed?
From aloft, X guides the boats to the barge.
Go straight through the smoke. We found it.
The barge is boarded, and a naval battle as ferocious as any in history books takes place.
Now that's quite some narration there. Maybe a little exaggerative, but
yeah,
right.
This is hardly the Monitor and the Merrimack.
Meanwhile, the U-boat searches in vain.
Should have just gone straight through the smoke, apparently.
Look, they're going to submerge.
The sub's going under the smoke screen.
Yeah, that would have been the first thing to do. It's like, oh, there's the keel. Okay.
Von Kiel is not fooled for long. We will go under the screen and come up on the other side. Submerge. Try to vary the voice as best I can. If they see those miners, they'll shoot them like rats.
Swooping low, X releases the torpedo.
Playing with the torpedo. It's not a missile. It's a torpedo.
A direct hit on the barge.
Well, you two. You're coming back to stand. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you two, you're coming back to stand trial for murder, spying, and anything else we can think of.
Turn the barge around and bring this gold back to Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam? No, it's our gold. Don't give it to Uncle Sam.
Hey, look! There goes the plane that guided us. Wonder who he is.
These events, strangely enough, never reached the newspapers, but the headlines that followed several days later clearly indicated the result of X's neat exploit. Famine in Govania. Food revolt in Govania. Foul deposed. And as usual, in Black X's favorite Washington restaurant.
I hope your name isn't involved in the spy trial. You know you'd be useless to us if. But I am in the news. But I am in the news. What? On the sport page? Look.
Promoter Jake Josephs arrived in town today, ranting and raving about a monocled boxer whom he believes is the greatest find he's seen. Says Jake, he's got class. I'm going to find him and sign him up. I can make a champ of him.
All right. RJ, I need to step away from the computer for a moment, but I'll be right back. So if you want to, I don't know, talk about some of the projects you're going to be doing. Well, before I do go, let's kind of get caught up here on some of the stuff that just came in here.
There would be shrinkage in that water. Yes, there would. Yeah. Of his nuggets.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be an ounce anymore.
Hey, Rick, welcome to the stream. So, hi, y'all. And then JR responding, "Hey, Rick, my favorite comics YouTubers are all here." Well, and then Juggle. So, anyways, RJ, if you want to go ahead and talk to everybody while I step away here for a moment, I'll be right back. Gonna promote some of the stuff you've been doing for those who weren't here earlier. I'll be right back.
All righty. Well, let me just say that the logistics business is growing. Y'all, maybe you saw that we got a warehouse facility to hold everything that came in with Drunk 3PO's books, and then of course Rini Strakowski's books came in, the Fiendish books. But what we haven't really said is that we're also expanding to work with Adam Lawson and his role-playing game industry. And to that end, we have picked up the warehouse right next door to the one where we're operating to receive 6 pallets of role-playing games and hardcover manuals. And that's going to fill that thing right to the top. So if you've got orders in for Asunder and you're wondering, where's my game? We're wondering the same thing. The truck's coming here. But the truck is like already 4 days late. There were issues with the manifest. It didn't wreck. All the games are fine. But somebody didn't cross the right T or dot the right I. So slowed things down. So it's going to be here Wednesday. We'll open that warehouse up for that. Meanwhile, we still used it because today we received 14 cases of Gemini mailers. That's 135 per case. So you do the math. I've done enough math tonight. But that will, unsurprisingly, not last us that long. I'm at the point now where I need to start looking at the cost of buying Gemini mailers by the pallet. And if I do that, well, the side benefit is that I can get Gemini mailers that don't say Gemini mailer on them. They will actually print them to say Critical Blast Logistics in place of that little logo. I don't know if I really want to do that, but it's, it's kind of a little vanity appealing thing. We'll see. Maybe I'll do it. Yeah, there's nothing quite like dotting a T. I teed up a Dot one time, and Dot was a nice girl. I'll just say that. Knew her in college. No, she wasn't. And she wasn't Little Dot. She wasn't Dot Polka. If you've read comics, you know who Dot Polka is. I'm trying to see. I can't. Boy, if I could share screens, I could be dangerous on this. Wait a second. I can share screen, but I can't approve the share of the screen. So that, I'm not going to do that. We we make enough profit. I mean, it's basically volume. I'll tell you this. I'm making enough volume now that I'm actually able to hire a part-time guy to do a lot of the work during the hours that I can't, because hey, RJ's got a full-time job, and this part-time thing here is taking up twice as many hours as my full-time job does. So it's time to get employees. Um, so it's it's not, that work is not the hard stuff. That's the tedious stuff. The hard stuff is, processing the data ahead of time. I'll still be doing all of that, figuring out how many packages of each type are going out, and then printing out the labels. So, yeah,
right.
we lose 10 cents on each transaction, but we make it up in volume. There's a weird math to that, but it actually kind of works.
Dentists to make a lot of dentures out of those.
Yeah.
Actually, there's something like dotting a T. Let's see, JR saying, that's fantastic, RJ. I hope you're making a good profit out of all your work. I guess what you were responding to, right? Yep.
Yeah.
And Woody saying, we lose 10 cents on each transaction, but we make in volume. And then that's Amway math. Woody, okay. So, anyways, we're at 56 minutes already. So, we'll have to start picking things up a little bit here. If we're
Yeah.
gonna at least get through 4 of the 5 stories, if not all 5. So
We talked about a lot of stuff that wasn't in the comic.
yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of gave you free reign there, obviously, but anyways, and I thank everybody for the likes and shares. Obviously, if we can keep it up, get more people in here, that'd be appreciated. So here's Philip Beat. The Cliff Chance at Cliffside by Scott Sheridan. Now, Scott Sheridan is a pseudonym for another writer we know of. RJ, do you know who that is?
Why did these people not write under their own names? No, I don't know.
George Brenner.
Oh, okay.
Well, the reason they use a lot of, from what I read about it recently, the
They
reason
didn't want to get caught.
use pseudonyms is because they were working for multiple companies.
Yeah, they didn't want to get caught.
Some of Eisner's work here in quality, but you also had him work, writing stories for Fiction House as well, and and Fox. So it's like, so the companies wouldn't pick up on the fact, oh, these guys are writing for other companies too. They're writing for our competitors as well. But they would at times write under different names. And then here's Sheik Carter, Ace Reporter. Just making our way to Flash Fulton, making our way to Invisible Hood here, as soon as we can get there. Now the Hugh Hazard and his Iron Man by Wayne Reed. His Iron Man was Bozo the Robot. So
Okay.
you could almost argue that he was kind of a early stages of Giganto or Frankenstein Jr. right there.
Oh, and it was even less of a robot and more of a mech because he's wearing it.
Oh, no, I think Bozo actually was a robot. I don't think he would, because they said Hugh Hazard and his Iron Man. So
yeah, but Hugh got into the back of the robot to ride in it.
Right. Archie O'Toole by Bud Thomas. Bud Thomas, another pseudonym used by Will Eisner.
And speaking of putting Ania on the back of labels, if you scroll back up and look at that country is Pyromania.
Well, I
written
see
there on.
Spatonia there.
No, it's right there on the map under
Oh,
the building.
Pyromania. Okay. Yeah, Pyromania.
In the Eastern European country of Pyromania, things are getting hot.
Yeah, no kidding. Captain Cook of Scotland Yard.
Look how many stories you were getting in this thing for a dime. For a
Yeah, well,
dime.
particularly the superhero feat, the action adventure anthologies like this, they're running anywhere from like 7 to 8 features. Maybe even as many as 10, depending on the company there. Anywhere from 7 to 10 features a book. So, and not only that, but they also have these little featurettes too, sport traits. Actually, it's kind of funny because that does remind me a little bit too of something that Mel and I talked about last week a little bit. John Law Science Detective. How the comic book industry was born out of the newspaper and magazine industries, and one of the things that I had noted that he kind of elaborate a little bit more on was idea how in some of these comics your lead feature, your main feature was your first story in the book. Your primary backup feature would be the last story in the book. You might have one other major feature like somewhere in the middle of the book. You get what I mean?
Yep.
Here we go. Invisible Justice by Art Gordon. Art Gordon was a pseudonym for Art Panajan, author J. Panajan, who, aside from Invisible Justice, also was credited with creating Madame Fatal.
Ah, okay.
And Madame Fatal was a guy who would secret agent type character, I think, or a detective or something like that. But his gimmick was he'd actually dress like a little old lady to go after crooks.
I remember that.
Yeah, so I'm actually surprised they didn't really. A lot of people today haven't tried to play with that one a bit more.
Give me a moment.
Trying to make it sound like he's like the first like transgender character or whatever, even though all he was a transvestite. It wasn't like he was sitting there. He actually thought of himself as a woman or anything like that.
No, he was just he was Milton Berle.
All right, so I think even though the narration's on the bottom, I think we should start with the narration there, and we'll do the.
Kent Thurston, alias the Invisible Hood and arch enemy of crime, is accompanying his friend Commander Stone of the U.S. Navy to the United States helium fields, where we grow helium.
Is there some trouble at the field, sir?
Yes, Kent, and it's serious too. It seems a gang of crooks are hijacking our truck shipments of helium. Someone is tipping off the gang. The helium is apparently being smuggled out of the country.
Stealing helium. So basically, they're stealing hot air.
Yep.
Who wants to steal hot air?
Well, it's its own element. It's not just heated air.
Yeah. That is serious, sir. Here we are, Commander.
Who's stealing all the helium? Was it you, sir?
Wasn't me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you ad-libbed that.
I ad-libbed that. Yeah, because there you can imagine the people. It wasn't me. Wasn't me. Some guy's gonna be sucking on this stuff. At the superintendent's office.
You see, Commander, everything happens so fast. Our truck drivers can give us no definite clues.
A clever bunch of crooks, Lane.
Yes, sir. But something must be done. I've checked every employee here, and yet I can't understand how the gang is notified of our shipments.
We've got to learn where the stolen helium cylinders are being taken, as well as the hideout of the gang. We need that helium for our own aircraft. I'm assigning an ace undercover man to locate their hideout by driving a truck on the regular route. When he gives the word, we'll raid the hideout and break up the gang. Goodbye, Lane.
Good day, sir. I'll be waiting for the G-men. It's a brilliant idea.
Well, that's that. With Lane and the G-men on the job.
I think in this case,
Oh.
you should start with the narration.
As the two men start back for the city, well, that's that. With Lane on the job and the G-man on the job, we ought to have a line on the gang in a week, eh, Kent?
I wonder, Commander.
The next day, Kent Thurston returns to the helium fields to investigate in his own way. Now, wearing his chemically treated hood, which makes him invisible, he awaits the passing of a truck loaded with helium cylinders.
I don't know if you can see it right there, but can you see the little silhouette right there, right by the tree there?
Yep, he's a dotted line character.
Yeah. If my hunch is right, I'll have to crack this case before that G-man gets on the job. Here goes. I hope I can make it safely.
The invisible hood climbs to the top of the truck.
Now to await developments. You want to do the driver right there?
Hey, what's that line in the road? Great guns! It's a man! He seems to be out cold. As the driver approaches the still figure, God, right straight, people. Ah.
Yeah. Try that again in the correct order, please.
As the driver approaches the still figure, he seems to be out cold.
Put him up, you. Don't move or I'll plug you. Okay, boys, let's go.
At the gangster's command, 3 men appear from hiding places along the roadside.
Nice work, Slug. Everything worked as planned.
Men get into the truck with the driver. A few minutes later, they leave.
Well, so far so good. I wonder if the hideout is far from here.
1 hour later, as the truck pulls in a farm road.
Okay. I suppose these barns are full of helium cylinders. Narration at the bottom there.
Inside the farmhouse.
Hiya, boss. We just brought in another load of that stuff.
Good. Tell them to start unloading. A couple more truckloads and we'll have enough to retire on. With that guy planted in the helium fields, we got nothing to fear. Boy, this is some setup.
But boss, up, quick! Something's gone wrong. The truck is moving, and there's nobody in the driver's seat.
What? After him. He can't get far.
Not me. It's haunted. Nobody's driving it. Yeah, it's a ghost.
The fools? $1 million.
Hold on.
Oh.
The gang leader dashes after the truck. Completely unnecessary narration. We can see him doing that.
The fools? $1 million worth of that stuff in that truck, and they're afraid of a ghost. I'll stop it.
The gang leader opens the door of the truck.
There must be someone driving.
The invisible hood waits until the gangster is inside the truck. Then,
now we'll see what's what.
With one blow, knocks him headlong into the road.
Shock!
Kapowie!
That night, the invisible hood returns, the loaded truck to the helium fields.
There's a light in Lane's office. I wonder why he's working late. Maybe the boys will quiet down when they get this note. Pretty busy, Lane? Don't make a move. I've got you covered. Her, what the? Who's there? Where are you? Over here, Lane. I'm the invisible hood, out to get rats like you. So that's how you're tipping off the helium thieves, sending them notes by carrier pigeon. Pretty slick. Yes, Mr. Hood, and it hasn't failed yet. Let me see that note you were about to send to the helium gang.
A G-man is coming to investigate helium holdups, but I will put him on the wrong trail. We'll advise further later.
You're going to send them a note, Lane, but I'm going to dictate it. Here's a blank piece of paper. Write what I say.
The Hood's note. Am bringing large truckload tomorrow to farm. Will drive truck myself. Lane.
Okay, Lane. Now let your pet go. He ought to arrive safely during the night.
See, you didn't let me read it then.
Oh, did I? Oh, I didn't even see it that time.
Yeah, it's at the bottom.
Lane ties the Hood's note to the pigeon's foot. Then he opens the window.
And you know what? We could still tell what was happening because it was carrier pigeons. Ah,
Okay, Lane. Now let your pet go. He ought to arrive safely during the night. Yeah, it's just the trick. They did a lot of tricky things back in these days.
yeah.
Now what are you going to do, Hood? I'm going to call up Commander Stone tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a busy day for you, Lane. Commander, this is Lane talking. I have a good lead on the case, and I have a plan, etc., etc. So now he's claiming to be Lane there. I go ahead with the narration there.
The next day at the farm, as the crooks await Lane's arrival.
That's funny. About Lane coming here himself sounds like a trick.
We got the note by the pigeon, didn't we? Who else knows about that? Hey, boys, here he comes.
It's him, all right, and he's alone. Get ready, man.
As the truck moves toward the gang, the Hood whispers to Lane. Then,
Okay, Lane. I'm right here beside you. Well, here I am, Mike. Hurry up and take off the stuff. You'll get your cut, Lane, but you shouldn't have come here yourself. Them cops might be tailing you. It's okay now, though. Get to work, boys.
the men unload the first row of helium cylinders. Suddenly, several G-men appear from within the truck.
Coppers, we ain't got a chance.
All right, you guys. All right, you guys. Your game is up. Put those things back. You're going for a ride.
Come on, you heard him.
Why, Lane, you.
As the gangsters are being rounded up, Commander Stone steps out of the truck.
Yeah, you're.
Oh, yeah. I was Commander Stone earlier, wasn't I?
Yeah.
Lane, Hood, come out here, the both of you. Lane, for your part in this affair, you're going to stand trial immediately, and I'll see you get what you deserve. As for you, Hood, whoever you are, I'd like to thank you in behalf of the United States government.
In behalf, not on behalf.
I know.
It is the duty of every citizen to serve his country, Commander. And one clue. This is the guy I was telling you about. One clue. Him very good detective.
Oh boy.
You know, do you see now why I said? Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. Yeah. This is I can't think of what his name was. Dick Tracy, the cartoons. Every one of them, Dick Tracy did nothing but call in somebody else like Go Go Gomez. And he had a Chinese fellow that was the same way.
Yeah. Here's Wings Wendell of military. Oh, and look at that. And we noticed this last week too in one of the stories that Metal and I read. They actually had a character that looked exactly like Adolf Hitler. And look there.
But they gave this one a goatee. Just a little different. Just a little different.
There we go. I just showing people, that stuff here.
Yeah.
Should. Jimmy got his bike, and there's a comic that they used to more promote the bike, I think, than anything else.
Oh yeah, it was a big ad.
Yeah, an ad. All right, so there we go with that one. And now we'll head over to Feature Comics, Volume 1, number 28. As soon as I go up here. So how have you liked the stuff we've read so far, RJ?
It's been interesting. A lot of new characters for me here. I mean, not X, but definitely some of the other ones.
Well, the two stories you read were, of course, Black X and Invisible Hood. And Invisible Hood is one of the characters that DC bought up, who was part of the Freedom Fighters.
I don't remember him in the Freedom Fighters.
He was a part of them, though. I'm pretty sure of it. All right. So, anyways, now moving on to Feature Comics. Wait, I don't need. Here we're gonna go on to number 28. Before we start reading, let me do a couple of things here. One, check the time. Hour 17, so we're making good time. It looks like we have had some. Let's get caught up on the chats a little bit here.
Yeah, King Toad popped in.
Telephone is greater than pigeon. Let's see. Pigeon has actual paper with print, whereas the phone has only a facsimile. So trust the pigeon. We got 6 people watching, so that's good. Let's see. I love rides. We have changed the hood name to Liberty. All right. Carvasaz Pardon El Forto. And then here we go. King Todd Shane stepping in to say hello, King Todd.
Hey there, King Toad. King Toad
Shane. Well, thank you for popping in. I hope you're enjoying the content. And JR, let's see. The art and visible storytelling is pretty good in Invisible Justice. All right. So, let me just see. Over here. Yeah. All right. All right. So now we're getting into Feature Comics number 1. So do starring Mickey Finn, The Doll Man, Joe Palooka, Jane Arden, Ned Brandt, and featuring Lollapalooza, Captain Fortune, Charlie Chan, Reynolds of the Mounted, Ranskeen, the Bungles, and Dixie Dugan. Like my intro for these?
I didn't know you were doing that.
Huh?
I didn't know you were doing that now.
Well, I've kind of done that here and there with these ones because you've noticed how they have all the, you got the clock and Mickey Finn right there. You want to now, Mickey Finn and his uncle right here are from kind of like, I'm thinking Boston. That's what I'm thinking. Irish culture of the Northeast there. So if you want to do his voice right there, or
All right.
Michael, I was tearing them thugs apart till this clock fella saved them from me.
And you look at him, he's all beat up and in a barrel.
That was a common way to represent lost all my clothes as a guy wearing a barrel.
Yeah, without getting into too much trouble.
Yeah, because if you get all your clothes ripped off, there's always a barrel nearby just to grab.
Or to hop into. And oh yeah, I remember when I was previewing this.
Oh, that's a faded one.
Yeah. Well, for the stories we're doing, it's not going to be as bad. I mean, yes, I think the one page of the clock will actually be faded, but the other three are like not. Obviously, that's better. Some of these were okay, but others were like pretty faded, like right there. There's Ned Brandt. And you talk about the differences. Ned Brandt was, I think, like a college student there. Rube Goldberg Sideshow. Rube Goldberg also did Lollapalooza.
Oh yeah.
There's Dixie Dugan.
Known for his mousetrap invention.
Yeah. Ranch Keen. Let's see now. Bungo Family. You like some of the titles on some of these tales? Really, the humor ones like Rube Goldberg, Dixie Dugan, Mickey Finn, Lollapalooza, Joe Palooka.
Yeah, they were just, most of them were just normal people's names.
Well, like we've talked about like what a Palooka is and what a Lollapalooza is and all that. So, anyways,
The clock strikes. A complete story by George E. Brenner.
All right.
Okay. Here we go.
Dan Nolan, for the last time, come down to breakfast.
Here I come, Mama.
Take that coat off and eat your breakfast.
I can't, Mama. I'm late now. And you know what today is.
Yes, today District Attorney Dan Nolan exposes a city official who has corrupted this administration by taking bribe money. Dan, please, when are you going to retire? You promised me.
I know, Mama. I'll make that promise again. I'll make that promise again, and this time it'll stand.
I hope that this is one of those situations where husband and wife with kids call each other Mama and Papa, because he's kind of old to be living with his mom.
Well, actually, that might be the case. If you look at them, they look like they are closer in age.
Yeah.
They look like they're closer in age. That's even I didn't necessarily pick that up, but then he could be platinum blonde too instead of white haired. But
well, yeah, but I mean, she's talking about him retiring, so
yeah, yeah. As soon as this case is closed, I'll retire and we'll go on a second honeymoon. How's that? So I guess they are.
Answer that question.
Dan.
Goodbye, Mama. I'll be home early tonight.
Goodbye, Dan, and be careful.
I haven't told Mama yet, but I've already sent in my resignation. I'll surprise her tonight and bring home a copy of it.
And the moment Dan Nolan steps on the starter of his car, a terrific explosion follows.
Boom!
Meanwhile, Brian O'Brien, who plays the role of the clock, drops into police headquarters.
Let's see. I'll let you. I'll let you do the clock. Since you've written the story on him, I'll let you be the clock. I'll let you be the headliner today on this one. Yeah. I'm sorry, Brian, but I won't be able to play golf today.
Why not?
Don't you know that today District Attorney Nolan is going to make known the results of his city investigation?
No.
Well, he is, and that's the reason I've got to stay here. Excuse me, Brian. Hello? Yes. What? Right away. Brian, take me over to District Attorney Nolan's home. His garage has been blown up, and he's dead.
10 minutes later.
I'm going in and talk to Mrs. Nolan. You wait outside, Brian.
While I'm waiting, I'll look over the ruins.
Hey, you! What do you want?
Just looking around, officer. I drove Captain Kane here, and I thought I'd take a little walk.
Okay, but don't touch nothing.
Some wreck. Oh, what's this? Part of a homemade bomb, and it has my fingerprints on it now. I'd better get back to the car.
Oops. Remember, Captain, I want you to get to the bottom of this thing, or there'll be more trouble. Good day.
Who was that, Captain?
Clyde Nest, Nolan's assistant. Come on back to headquarters. Mrs. Nolan has given me a clue on this case.
Later, back in headquarters.
This narration's a little easier to identify, isn't it? Now?
Yes, it's up front where it should be.
Yeah. Ms. Nolan told me Dan discovered several pages missing from our police records. Check up and let me know if this is right.
Sure, and she's right, Captain. The pages from the May 4th to June 19th are missing.
Okay, Lee. Well, Brian, I'm going to have a job finding those missing cases. And if you'll leave me alone.
With pleasure, Captain. With pleasure. May 4th to June 19th, and part of a homemade bomb as clues. We'll soon find out if they mean anything.
1 hour later. Every time they're doing a time thing, I just think of SpongeBob. So I do that.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Mrs. Nolan. Goodbye. And this bomb was made with ordinary gunpowder, yet none of the explosive makers have any record of selling any large amounts of that type of gunpowder. Well, I've got a hunch, and if it's true, this case is solved.
And here we go. This is
Okay.
This is going to be a little bit tricky. Yeah,
I got the screen blowed up, so I can get it.
All right. Well, I'm going to have to blow it up for me too. So.
Okay. Whoa! You did more than that. We jumped a few stories there.
Yeah, I know. That's what happens when you like do that. Unfortunately. Better.
It is late at night, and the clock climbs through a window of a home situated in the residential section of the city. And he has little trouble in finding and opening the safe. Ah, just as I thought. The missing records. What's this? Emptied shells and more shells. Pretty clever. Oh, someone's coming.
So I guess his hunch was they took the gunpowder from bullets. Then
Yep.
that's an interesting trick.
They emptied all the shells.
Stand just as you are, Mr. Clyde Nest.
Huh? The clock. How'd you find out?
Easily. Mrs. Nolan told me that you were the only person to have access to those records when they were on their vacation between May 1st and June 30th. While Nolan was away, Big Crooks bribed you to remove their names from the files. When you found out that Nolan suspected you of this, you decided to kill him. And you made a bomb with powder from these police cartridges, Nest. I'd take great delight in beating you up now, but if I know the police, they'll take care of you in their own way. And you have my sympathy.
Oh boy. Oh,
Another
boy.
episode of The Clock in the February issue of Feature Comics.
All right. Things are getting a little dim here, so I'm gonna go off camera here for a moment before we
Don't turn off the
continue.
light.
Yeah.
We'll just sit here and look at this.
Thinking of owning one of these
entertain the crowd as best you can for me.
Sure.
Thinking of owning one of these slick Ingersoll watches? And Christmas is just the time to ask for one. Only Ingersoll can make Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck watches. Boy, if you had asked for that Mickey Mouse watch, that was the thing to get.
Look, learning to tell time is easy with one of my wristwatches.
There's no more ad to read. So. Oh no, it's the cock. Hey, that's another story entirely, Mr. Olson. I'm reading the chat on my phone. Detective Simpson. Your Disney lawyers filing the paperwork already. Hey, they licensed this ad. They made their chunk of change off of this, but yeah, the Mickey Mouse Ingersoll watch, that's a pop culture collectible if ever there was one. I don't remember the Donald Duck having one, which just goes to show Donald Duck's always been second banana. Nobody likes the duck. That's what you get for putting out a duck with a speech impediment. That was the best line out of Roger Rabbit.
This is the last time I work with someone with a speech impediment.
Don't be a duck about it. Hey, the duck and the oh no, never mind. The duck and the clock. Well, and Christmas is just the time to ask for one, which is true. This was a November comic, so it was this is the page that you would tear out of your comic book, and you would hide in your mother's McCall's magazine, and hope that she would find it and take the hint. Right, Ralphie? That's a genius plan. It works every single time. And this is back during the days of the pie-eyed Mickey, or not the pie-eyed Mickey, but still the white-faced Mickey. Not that he's black-faced either, but he was pasty white face. It was later on, several decades later, that he went from white to Caucasian-faced Mickey. And I never figured that one out either. I was like, why did you shave your face, Mr. Mouse? Because you should have black hair all over. And how do you hear out of those two little satellite dishes you have on top of your head? Because they have like no curve to them, no sound catching ability. They're just circles. Oh, Walt, you mad genius, you. Did you hear the one about the cat eating a watch? How are you going to get that clock out of that kitty? Yeah, you're right. but let's not go with that joke. We'll forget that joke happened. Wow. So I bought my tickets today for the Arkansas Comic Convention coming up on September 8th, 9th, and 10th. I'm going on September the 9th, and I was torn because there were two people that I wanted to get pictures with, and both were very, very expensive. And as I read down, it turns out there was an economy sort of package where both of these same people were also scheduling time together. And you could get your picture taken with both of them at the same time. So I'm like, that's the picture for me. So I saved a few bucks, and I will be in the line to get my picture taken in between William Shatner and Jonathan Frakes. So that is something I'm looking forward to. Hello, is it me you're looking for? I did. Were you not able to hear us, Woody, or did I get too silent for too long there?
All
Finally, the show can go on.
Yeah, I know. So let's kind of. I see Tim has joined us. That's good. Let's see.
Yeah, me and Tim have been telling dirty jokes.
So I've seen.
You're not getting monetized tonight. Sorry, it's just not going to happen.
Well, I am not. I'm not monetized yet at all. So
you will. You will.
Champion. It was kind of. Yeah. So yes. All right. So about the cat eating a watch.
Yeah, you don't want to go there. There's it's a bunch of spelling jokes, bad spelling jokes that got in there.
All right. Hello. Hi, Woody. And then, what did you think about the improvements to my campaign? I guess he was asking you that, right?
I guess so, unless it's changed from the one that I had up.
Number one, and then
how did you do that? Oh, it's
overlooking at the Melbourne campus. So let's see. So we got 5 people. So that's good. An hour 37. So we'll be able to at least get through the Doll Man, and then I think we'll wrap up after that. So as I said, that we'd try to do the Charlie Chan one if there was time, but we're getting close to the 2-hour mark here. So
yeah, it's getting kind of late.
We'll get through Doll Man and then do the This Day in Each History and then wrap things up. And if you can stick around afterwards, RJ, for a post show. I was talking to Woody. All right. So, anyways, let's get back to the comic here, then, as it were. Arden. The Doll Man.
The Doll Man by William Irwin Maxwell.
Mm-hmm.
In the wake of dawn, a treasure-laden freighter silently slips down the harbor, bound for the Orient, its hold filled with silver bullion. Even then, we're shipping all our money to China.
Everything is in order, sir.
All hands look alive. We've got a mighty valuable cargo this trip.
Boom!
The ship trembles, halts momentarily, and, like a wounded sea mammal, sinks below the waves. As it thuds to the ocean's floor, a monstrous machine crawls out of the swirling gloom. Look at that, an underwater tank.
Mm-hmm. There she lies, Dr. Rhodey. That's our 5th prize this month. You gonna do Dr. Rhodey there?
Yeah, that's him.
Good work, you guys. Put your helmets on carefully. Laro nearly drowned on the last haul.
Trying to think of a rodenty kind of voice.
Yeah.
Take it easy. No coppers can bother us down here.
The next day, Daryl Dane, the Doll Man, appears at the office of Police Inspector Valen.
You know, the police are always wondering who these masked men are. How about the civilian guy who just shows up for no reason every other day? How you guys doing? Yeah, it's me, RJ. What you got going on? Really? There's a crime going on? Okay, well, I'll come talk to you later.
All right. You want? Let's see. So your Geraldine, Professor Roberts spoke to me about. There's harbor bombings. These harbor bombings are beyond us. If you think you can solve them with your scientific doodads, okay with me. But I personally don't believe you can. Now, of course, they even had one here, John Law here, and we've also read Dean Denton before, where we've had the science detective, science detectives. So,
and there's always the police officers like, science schmience, it's all police work, and you ain't one.
Later that night,
well, Professor Roberts, Valent didn't think much of my ability to help, but I've a plan. I've been studying the reports of all those early disasters. Each explosion occurred in the same manner. So, unless mistaken, the trawler leaving tonight for Europe is doomed to the same fate as the others.
Daryl strides to the familiar laboratory. But Daryl, you mean that you will go down to the docks?
Yes, or rather, the doll man will be on hand. And look, so he's now, as you know, he came up with a chemical to help shrink him. And one of the things about this, Brenner couldn't decide how to apply it. One issue, he might do it like this, like with a injection. Another, he might take a pill. They got to the point where eventually he just had absorbed so much of the material into his body that he could just will himself without any injection or anything. He just will his body to shrink.
Okay. With the suddenness of magic, Daryl Dane shrinks.
And now, to get to work. See you later, Professor. Uh-oh. There's Tippy, our cat.
Well, of course, if you're going to be able to shrink, why wouldn't you keep a hunter in the house?
The green eyes of Tippy grow as large as the doll man. The doll man leaps lightly from the window onto a speeding car.
Boy, I haven't had a lift this way since I was a kid.
At Dr. Rodent's hideout,
Everything is working
There's
like
Dr.
a
Rodent
clock.
right there.
Yeah.
Everything is working like a clock. Tonight we tie sticks of dynamite onto these rats and have them board the trawler Maris. When the ship is well out of the harbor, the dynamite will explode, and we'll finish the job as usual.
that evening, like a slumbering giant, the huge steamer lies in its wharf, awaiting the morning tide. Through the darkness, the doll man races.
There's more. There's another narration
Yeah,
about.
I think he's actually sequential this time.
Okay. Once inside the hull, I can check the cargo.
In a flash, he is up on the mooring ropes. Suddenly, ahead of him, a rat scurries along the tarred cable.
It's got a bomb. It's got a bomb tied to its back, so that's how they work it. This job is going to be easier than I thought. And look at that! Look at how he's like spinning the rat.
Yeah.
Say, I'm pretty good. I'm a pretty good rat exterminator. Better than some of the powders.
Yo, here come more rats.
Uh-oh, here come some rats. I hate some rats I hate very much.
Suddenly, Dr. Rodent and two henchmen appear on the dock in time to see
Rats
flying in all
flying
directions.
Is that you?
I don't know. There's dark. I can't tell who's talking. I figured it was Dr. Rodent.
All right, go for it then.
We've done it.
Rats flying in all directions.
Boss, let's scram. I'm beginning to see things. There, a tiny guy on that rope.
The doll man. I'll fix him.
Dr. Rodent's knife narrowly misses the alert doll man.
Now
The
the
doll
funny,
man is upon them.
okay, before you continue there, a funny thing about this that they saw in the notes when I went over to DC database and looked over that wiki fandom for it and looked over the notes on this. This is only this doll man's only second adventure and his first in costume, right?
Okay.
And yet Dr. Rodent is already aware of him.
Oh, sure. The rats told him. The doll man is upon them. And in the resulting tumult, Dr. Rodent tries to escape.
This noise will wake up the whole police force. That blasted imp has ruined my plans, but I got away. He can't get me.
But the doll man is nearby.
There's a police car. I've got a plan.
Free at last.
I think that's the doll man.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Hey, you overstuffed blue coat, stop dreaming.
What the?
Oh, I see what happened. Okay.
He insulted the cops.
The terrified gang leader swings a heavy wrench at the doll man.
Got you at last.
Dr. Rodent's car swings madly around dangerous corners.
With the doll man away, I can make good my escape. Ah, there's the tank.
Get this. What if he said that line more like this? With the doll man away, Dr. Rodent can play.
Yeah, but he didn't.
Yeah, I just
Didn't have
thought I'd
any
throw that
criminal
in there.
imagination.
I thought that would have sounded funnier. But
Yeah.
Ah, there's the tank. Once inside, they'll never reach me. What's this? I thought I killed you. It can't be. It can't be. Yow! Help! Help!
The police rush in and take command of the situation.
the commissioner will be glad to see this.
Later, the doll man is back to his normal size.
I had a swell time, Doc. More of the doll. You want to read it? Okay, go ahead. You read it.
More of the doll man in the February issue of Feature Comics.
All right. So, anyways, I think by now we're probably about 145, 150 at this point, time wise. Yeah, 148. So, those are some pretty good stories tonight, weren't they?
That was a lot of fun. I like reading old comics like this.
Yeah. As Reynolds of the Mountain, we're just going to breeze through the rest of this real quick so people can a nice read of this. You notice how some of the scans were good, some of them were not so good.
Yeah.
Chin. And here's Toddy. Toddy by George Marcoux. Off the Record by Ed Reed. Here's Mickey Finn with the nippy up top there. Alrighty then. Oh, there we go with that one. So, anyways, let's kind of get caught up on some of these chats here so people know we're not just ignoring them. Some doodads work better than others. Yeah, that's probably true. Wow, awesome. I like this. Eraton.
Erratum.
Arrays. Errata.
Now, if you have several erratum, they're errata when they're plural. And if you organize them in rows and columns, you have an array of errata.
Yeah. I wonder if that 12-inch fellow can play the piano. Good stuff. I enjoyed a lot. Enjoyed it a lot. Thanks, guys. Yeah. Follow up Toddy with an adult version called Hot Toddy.
Yeah. I thought that every time I saw Toddy. I'm like, that's all I can think of. Hear that word.
Only thing is, I think Toddy is a boy here, so and yeah, I know a hot toddy is, I think, it's some kind of beverage, right? Because I
Yeah.
remember them making reference to it on Dark Shadows. All right, and then JR had something here. Back, Molly Ringwald was on a podcast.
Oh, well, I would have left to go listen to Molly Ringwald too. Did she talk about Riverdale? Because that's her current position. She's Archie Andrews' mom on the Riverdale series.
Yeah. So, anyway, so
else right
we'll
now.
start to go ahead and wrap up here. If you can stick around afterwards, RJ, for a post show, so we can just kind of wrap things up. But anyways, so today is Friday, August the 18th, 2023. So let's get ready to take a look back at this day. Neat history. History! Let me 1943, 2003. Let's see. That was 2018, right? Yeah, 2018. Also 2018, as I recall, yeah. All right, so with all that being said, then let's take a look at this day in each history. And first off, we're going to head back 80 years ago today, as on this day. Yeah, I know you like Nietzsche history. What do you? So heading back 80 years ago today, on this day, 80 years ago today. Action Comics number 65 went on sale on this date back in 1943, 80 years ago today. Sold for 10 cents. It's 56 pages, so they did cut down the page count a bit. But you see right there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 feet. At that point, they dropped down from like 7 to 8 features to 6 features. But you have, including Superman, the $1 Million Marathon, Vigilante, the Bard of Banditry. You had Congo Bill there, Storm Over the Bering, Mr. America. That was, of course, Tex Thompson's more superheroic identity. Shekel Gruber's Nightmare, and then Zatanna, the riddle of the Tired.
Shekel Gruber's Nightmare. You know who that's talking about, right?
No, not off the top of my head.
Shekel Gruber was a name given to Adolf Hitler.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, if you remember, too, there would come a point where Tex Thompson would transition from being Mr. America to the Americommando.
I remember.
So on this date, though, 80 years ago, the 65th issue of Action Comics, you have Superman hitting the no sale button on a cash register there on the cover. So that's a pretty interesting cover right there. So with that, let's see. So with that, getting ready to move on to the next piece of Nietzsche history, as it were. She was on Mayim Bialik's show. I commented it was tiresome to listen to Hollywood types about their therapy, their alcoholism, their drug abuse, their perversion, their recovery, their narcissism. And Woody, I don't know that about Shekel Goober or Tuber, whatever. And then JR. The only thing more tiresome is Hollywood types going on politics they obviously have no insight on. Yeah, I would have to agree with that. But there are a few of them who are like, and just the hypocrisy that comes out of it too. But anyways, that's another discussion for another day. Anyways, moving on to the next piece of niche history, we move ahead to 2003. And on this day in 2003, it's going to find it here. The WWE held its Monday Night Raw event on this date 20 years ago today. It was the Go Home Raw before SummerSlam that year. So heading into SummerSlam of that year, they're having the Go Home Raw from the Van Andel Arena in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which saw in the main event Goldberg defeat Randy Orton with Ric Flair and Triple H. Randy Orton had Ric Flair and Triple H in the corner. Special enforcer Steve Austin. Christian battled RVD to a no contest in a Intercontinental Championship match. Rosie with Hurricane defeated Rodney Mack, who had Theodore Long. Now Rosie, that was Rosie was one of the Noye brothers, the Samoan family.
Right.
That was now, of course, he did pass away, unfortunately. But that was during that time when he was teaming with Hurricane. That was the gimmick. That was the superhero in training gimmick, and it does form an acronym, and you can probably figure out what the acronym was. You get it,
yes,
RJ?
I get it. Yes. And superhero in training.
Yeah.
Man.
Let's see. Chris Jericho defeated Kevin Nash in a hair versus hair match. Test defeated Scott Steiner in a match where the winner gets Stacy's services. She, of course, went in as Steiner's valet. And then the opening match of the night saw Molly Holly retain the women's championship via DQ over Trish Stratus. So that happened 20 years ago today, the Go Home Raw before SummerSlam that year in 2003. Let's see. I like the summer trim, JR. Looking good. RJ, one of you guys. I think he originally meant you, and that's why he made the correction there, RJ. Manu Fatu BYU. So anyways, moving on to the next as we move ahead to 2018, which was 5 years ago today. Let's see, before we do that. There was a huge Samoan lineman for a couple of decades there. They had the monopoly. Well, even before he became a wrestler, Roman Reigns was actually a college football standout, under his real name. Well, of course, so was The Rock as well. Oh, I just saw a private chat. Oh, okay. I guess you sent me the private chat about the shekel burger.
Yeah, Schickelgruber.
Schickelgruber.
That was Hitler's father's last name. His father changed his name from Schickelgruber to Hitler.
All right. Well, anyways, moving on then to about 5 years ago today, on this date, 5 years ago today, premiering on HBO, the Sesame Workshop production of Esme and Roy, which was an animated children's television series created by Dustin Farrer and Amy Steinberg, premiered on HBO on this date 5 years ago today. And 2018 is just so nice that we're going to hit it twice. And also on this date 5 years ago today, A1 Pictures anime film, The Seven Deadly Sins, the movie Prisoners of the Sky, premiered on Japanese theaters on this date 5 years ago as well. So you had both Esme and Roy and The Seven Deadly Sins, the movie Prisoners of the Sky, both premiering on this date 5 years ago today. So with that, I thank everybody for being here. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. RJ, hope we can get you back here on Sunday. So you can tell some of our other panelists your experiences on what we read tonight, as well as promoting your latest stuff on the weekend panel show. Let's see.
I'll see what I can do.
Let's see. 2018 Deadly Sins, always a fun subject. Well, Deadly Sins is the name of an anime series. And before that, there were. Oh, yeah, we already read that. So with that, I thank everybody for being here, and I will see you all on Sunday. Bye.